I spent time talking about creating different kinds of diagrams in Insight Maker in the past, such as causal loop diagrams and connection circles and systemograms. And I thought I'd spend a few minutes talking about mind maps. It seems that a mind map is simply a pictorial representation of the relationship of a number of thoughts or items. Some people call them concept maps or context maps. It's simply a way of depicting the relationship amongst a number of different things. This is actually a mind map about mind maps, to say that mind map is what is it? It links together around a keyword, ideas, tasks, and other items, and it's used by authors and managers and students. And if this particular one is simply created from variables connected together with links, and it has textual descriptions in each one of the items, and it says it's for planning or brainstorming or decision making. It's simply to provide a pictorial representation of the relationship of a number of thoughts or items. Here is a concept map or a mind map of a thermostat, and it simply says the thermostat, there's a temperature gap, and that gap is between the desired temperature and the house temperature, and that you increase and decrease the settings to control the temperature and the delay. So it's just, yeah, most of the diagrams that I'm showing you I just found in Insight Maker. I didn't create them, so I haven't studied them in a great deal of detail. They are in fact presented simply as examples to say here are some alternative forms of things, how mind maps might look. And you could in fact overlay the entities themselves with images the way that was done for the causal loop diagrams or the connection circles. It's a matter of choice. You know, do you spend more time on the cosmetics or on the content? It depends upon what you intend to use the map for once you actually finish it. So here's another depiction of how a thermostat works, to say that it includes a controller, and the controller makes a correction which can in fact turn heat and air conditioning off or turn the heat or air conditioning on. The measurement is carried out periodically, is of actual temperature output. So I mean, it's a set of entities and their relationships, and here the relationship between the entities is actually identified on the link itself. Now, to actually create a mind map, personally, I would advise that you use a picture entity, because it's a picture and it isn't involved in a simulation model. There's no restrictions on the characters that you can use for the labels for it. So to simply create a picture element and then tell it that I don't want an image at all, and the label position is in the middle, so the text will be in the middle of this. I can then go ahead and say item, and as I said before, once you actually start creating items, you'll find that it's far easier than to recreate new ones to hold the control key and simply duplicate an item, so that I can then end up with multiple items. This is something else. Another thought. More thoughts. And what was this? What was this about? So now I've created these fictitious bogus thoughts, which I can then go ahead and use the link to connect them together. And note that the default label for a link is link, and if the label is link, L-I-N-K, or is blank, nothing will be displayed. But if I call it something else, call it anything else, then that label will in fact appear on the link. And you can double click the link twice, and it'll actually show up so that you can change the label there. And once you create these, you can go ahead and change the color of the lines or the color of the text, as you see fitting for what it is that you're attempting to depict. And if the mind map gets extremely involved and covers a great amount of items, you can actually select items and put them in a folder and label the folder so that you can then actually collapse that part of the mind map, and you can look at it piecemeal, sort of walking through it. So from my perspective, the easiest way to create a mind map is to use a picture item without having a picture on it, and put the label in the center, and then just duplicate the items and connect them with links. And you can elaborate this, and you can actually make it go in multiple directions. The way that, I mean, often mind maps look like spiderweb diagrams as opposed to looking like hierarchical diagrams. The one thing that I do like about Insight Maker is it's not limited to creating hierarchical relationships, so that you can in fact do many-to-many relationships. Of course, I think it sometimes gets a bit confusing, but it is in fact doable, depending upon what it is that you actually need to depict in the diagram. Here's, and in the wiki focus page for this, I will put links to all of these different mind maps so that you can in fact take a look at them. Here's one about resilience that said that adaptive capacity and changes in behavior lead to adaptation, which improves rapidity, which leads to resilience, and resourcefulness improves rapidity and leads to resilience. And that's just a perspective on things that are related to resilience. This was simply included to give you a sense that they can in fact get quite complicated. Though the other thing that would be very beneficial is when one creates this, if in addition to the label, if you also, this is a description, CDESCR, description of what I had in mind when I created this node on the diagram. So that in the future, if you want to convey this to someone else, in addition to simply seeing the label, when they mouse over it, this will pop up, and they can read your additional notes that you had about that particular item, so that rather than simply be restricted to the text that's written in the bubble itself, you can add you can add explanation to help other people understand beyond just what the label connotes. I don't know. Here's one where there were in fact a number of relationships, and they were put in multiple folders to say that this set of items were considered to be related, and then there were relationships between the different groupings. And this one was how patients move through an emergency department. Many of these were done by George McDonald out of Sydney, who's been using Insight Maker for quite some time. He has a lot of models in here that oftentimes, I mean, I just go and search, find more insights, and I look for things in Insight Maker, and it's amazing the things that I find. I mean, there are There are 5,000 users of this environment at the moment, and they're creating a lot of amazing stuff. So a few thoughts on how to create mind maps. Um, the best way to get familiar with creating mind maps is go to Insight Maker and play with it for a while. It's quite straightforward. Hope this has been helpful. See you in the next video. Bye.